Hey guys, Daniel here and welcome back to another video. Here today, the CEO of Voyager Digital, Steve Ehrlich, just went on CNBC and had right around 3 to 4 minutes of talking about Coinbase, the crypto market, Voyager, etc. And in this video, I want to show you guys exactly what he said in that interview, as well as showing you some highlights from his 2 interviews that he did yesterday pertaining to, the Voyager platform, some updates, and a lot of things, a lot of answered questions about platform delays, so make sure to stick around for that. But before we get started here, if you have not joined the Finance Channel Discord server yet, make sure to join there. We talk all about stocks, crypto, etc. Here's the clip. Roll it.
On Bitcoin and the crypto economy, joining us now is Steve Ehrlich. He's co-founder and CEO of Voyager Digital, a crypto trading firm. Steve, thank you and for joining us and welcome. You've had amazing growth. Tell us a little bit about how fast your platform is growing.
Well, it's been an amazing 12 months. Thank you for having me first. It's been an amazing 12 months for Voyager, and we've just exploded. We have millions of users on the platform now. We've grown from literally about 5 million of assets 15 months ago to close to 3 billion, if not over 3 billion of assets today by our consumers. So we've seen this amazing growth that has happened over the last 12, 15 months for us.
270,000 plus funded accounts. What was that a year ago?
It was probably about 8,000 funded accounts a year ago. So you can see how much we've grown in just 12 months.
You compete, obviously, with Coinbase, but one way in which, I don't know whether you're different from them, but one of the things we talked about in our tease to this segment was that there is some concern among those who follow this business that those companies that rely on a fee-based structure to make money are going to see those fees go to the bottom quickly as the competition heats up. You don't charge fees. Why and how do you make money?
Yeah, well, first, we have an expansive coin list. We have over 50 coins that consumers can actually invest and earn on our platform. With about half of them, you actually earn interest. So our model is we earn a spread revenue on coins as well, because there's no national best bidder offer in the crypto market. So we're finding consumers' best execution on every trade. We're connected to 10 plus exchanges and market makers to do all that. So we make a small spread on every trade. We're only at 50 basis points as our fee on the spread on Bitcoin. And so we're already at a very competitive price to allow consumers to actually create the wealth and keep most of what they're making. In addition to that, we're actually giving people interest on Bitcoin and on the USDC stablecoin at a tune of 7.25% to 10%. So consumers really can create wealth using our platform.
Year to date, your stock is up what? There looks like 467% as Bitcoin has moved up, and some of the other cryptocurrencies have as well. But you do see, if you chart cryptocurrencies, they do a lot of that. They're very volatile. What do you think the ultimate effect of that volatility is going to be for acceptance of cryptocurrency and for your business? The two things could be very different.
It's interesting. So I hearken back to the time I spent in building E-Trade back in the early 2000s, where volatility was at play with a lot of stocks. Volatility is really good for entities like us, like Voyager. I do think it brings interest in. I think people have the ability to make money. But, I've heard a lot of people say this, and I tend to agree with it. To get to a point where there'll be less stability, less volatility with crypto, we have to get through the volatile stages. As more and more people come on board and more people adopt crypto, you're going to have volatile points. At some point, there'll be some steadying off, but I think that's multiple years out here. But we saw that with stocks over in the early 2000s with the advent of online brokerage. There was an increased volatility that took years before it flattened out. So I think we're going to see the same thing here.
Now, when we look at this interview, I think Steve did a phenomenal job at not just explaining the cryptocurrency market, but talking about Voyager as a platform and why it differentiates itself from a platform like Coinbase. So when we look at this interview, there's not too much to talk about, but I hope it gives you confidence that Voyager is getting its name out there. I've been talking a lot about Voyager eventually getting the publicity that it deserves, and just the fact that CNBC as a company did a 4-minute segment significantly talking about just Voyager is absolutely phenomenal, and I think Steve Ehrlich couldn't have done a better job. Really happy for him and the company as a whole, and I think he did a phenomenal job. Now, next thing I want to touch on here is the two interviews that CEO Steve Ehrlich did yesterday. Now, the first one was very, very interesting, and I had two main takeaways from that interview that make me very, very bullish on the company. Number one, Voyager as a company is currently paying all interest back to consumers. Now, when we talk about interest, if you download the Voyager platform, buy potentially like a Bitcoin, you get 5.5 to 6% interest, yearly interest, on your holdings. Now, originally, Voyager as a company took right around 10 to 15% of that interest for themselves and gave the rest to consumers. Now, when we look at what they're doing now, instead of taking that 10 to 15% of interest, they're actually giving all of that back to their customers. Now, this essentially makes them much more competitive when it comes to this whole space. Now, we looked at a bit of a graph, I don't know when it was, a few weeks ago, but essentially what they're planning on doing now, this whole interest side of their business where you can actually, make money by holding Bitcoin is something they're using as a customer acquisition tool, not a way to make money. So essentially they're saying, all right, what we're going to do, we're going to lure customers in by presenting this extremely high interest rate. And by not taking that 10 to 15% cut, you can actually increase that interest that you have and make it much more competitive with other countries, or not other countries, other companies. The way they are currently making money is solely essentially off of the spread they collect from each transaction. So when you potentially buy a Bitcoin, there is right around like a 0.5 to 0.75% spread between the bid price, which is a little bit below than the current share price, and the ask price, which is a little bit above. And they collect that little bit of premium, and that's how they make money. So I think this is absolutely phenomenal. Great way to attract new customers, and by increasing that interest rate, you really essentially make customers feel a lot better as well. Now, when we look at their EBITDA margins, Steve Ehrlich talked about this, and it's very, very exciting. He said that the EBITDA margins of Coinbase are comparable to Voyager's. Guys, this is absolutely huge. I made a video talking all about Coinbase as a company and the margins that they have. And it's absolutely incredible the profitability of this business model. And just hearing those words, Steve Ehrlich say that their EBITDA margins are comparable to Voyager, that Coinbase's EBITDA margins are comparable to Voyager's, is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Voyager just had a quarter where they reached a net income margin of 43%. So essentially, for every $1 billion in revenue, $430 million of that goes straight down to the bottom line, to net income. So now, when we talk about the bigger picture here, does this mean that Voyager as a company will be profitable in quarter one? Potentially, it would not surprise me. Now, I think a little more realistic is a situation where we see Voyager potentially be profitable in quarter two, quarter three of this year. But I think the possibility is out there for Voyager to actually report a profit in the first quarter of this year. Now, whether or not that happens, it might, it may not. It won't be a game breaker for me unless it happens. If it doesn't, that completely makes sense. They're obviously still in growth mode. But if it does, get ready, guys, because that is absolutely phenomenal. Now, when we look at the second interview that he did, it's a little more about talking about the general platform and the issues that it's been having over the past couple of weeks here. Now, I made a video talking about this just yesterday, and we saw three main issues. One, a waitlist, essentially preventing customers from actually getting onto the platform. Two, a bit of an issue with deposits, customers having to wait a bit longer for their deposits to clear. And number three, withdrawal problems. Now, when we look at all three of these, essentially the main solution for all of them is for the system upgrade that Voyager has been talking about to complete. Now, when we talk about this system upgrade, Voyager originally crashed at the end of January when this whole Robinhood fiasco started, and Voyager experienced a surge in demand. The platform shut down for right around 1 to 2 days, and Voyager started to commence this platform upgrade, which they said at that time would take 120 days. Now, currently, we are on day 76 of this platform upgrade, so we can expect around a month and a half to 2 months of upgrading left, and once that happens, Voyager can essentially have the capacity to hold 10 million active users at once. That'll be absolutely phenomenal, guys, and sets up Voyager very well for the long run. Now, when we talk about this platform upgrade, it really makes them prioritize security. Now, when we look at Voyager, and Steve Ehrlich mentioned this a lot on the interview, priority number one is security of customer assets. So because of that prioritization of security, Voyager's putting on a waitlist to make sure that the platform doesn't crash. Number two, we have Voyager slowing down deposits, slowing down withdrawals, doing it manually to ensure that security maintains at its highest level possible. So once this essentially platform upgrade goes through, we're good to go. But currently we're seeing some delays, and we've gotten a bit of good news here. The wait list is expected to be essentially gone within the next few days here. Withdrawals are essentially really related to one main issue: customers actually withdrawing money that hasn't processed and actually been deposited onto the account yet. So apparently that's creating a lot of confusion within the system. And then also with deposits, that was a problem that was cleared just a week or two ago. In the comment section, I've seen a lot of people say that their essentially deposits are actually going through now, which is very, very good. It makes me optimistic about the company. Now, when we look at Voyager as a whole, these updates make me very bullish. I'm very happy about the CNBC interview and the way Steve Ehrlich handled it. If you want more updates on Voyager Digital, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I talk all about stocks, finance, etc. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.